All right. I am so excited to be back in Florida and broadcasting to 50 countries or more around the world in 12 languages. It is so exciting to be here today. I love Super Saturday. I love what I do. I am so blessed. And right now, because I'm back in Florida where I have lived twice, I've lived in Jupiter and I've lived in the Lake Mary area as well. So, of course, I had to bring the animal prints back in because, you know, it is Florida after all, right, ladies? Of course. So, I love Super Saturdays because it's an opportunity for us to kind of step out of what we do traditionally at other kind of business meetings and talk high-level leadership, especially the Super Saturday kickoff at the beginning of the year. Because as goes January, so goes the year, right? It's a very, very common thread that I've seen in my 30-plus years now in direct selling. And so, you know, we have so many great people coming here today, here to present. And thank you to our studio audience because, you know, sometimes when you do these events that are really about, you know, broadcasting globally, you know, you go into the studio and there's like no audience there and then you expect leaders to come out on stage and be inspirational. So all of you who took the time, who flew across the pond, or who just came across the country, even down the street, we thank you so much for being here to be an inspiration. So I ask you right up front, as the speakers get up and come and pour their hearts out on the stage today, please give them your undivided attention, but also lots of enthusiastic support with applause. So thank you for that because it lets them know that yes, 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 they're tracking with me. So excited. You know, it's funny because as I think about LifeWave and I think about direct selling, because as you know, I love direct selling. And so when we think about John Maxwell, all right, he's an icon. How many of you have ever read one of John's 80-plus books? Yeah, so most of you in this room, most of you around the world probably have heard of John. So, you know, he has a phrase, know the way, go the way, show the way. And I remember having lunch with him. I was so privileged. I've had him at events throughout the years. I've certainly spent some time with him as well, read many, many of his books. The one thing that he talks about a lot at LifeWave is knowing the way here. That's what we need to know. But I was asking him, he actually is very, very conversational. And it wasn't in an interview. We were actually having lunch. And John Maxwell asked me, he said, okay, Meredith, I'm going to give you one question. And in this one question, he says, you can ask anything you want, but you get just one. And that's really tough looking at John Maxwell, thinking, I have 1,000 questions I would like to ask you, John. But the one question that I asked him, I said, okay, how do you deal with regret? How do you deal with regret? And he thought about that for a minute, and he said, you know, one of my best friends, one of my best mentors was a coach named John Wooden. How many of you have heard of John Wooden? Many? Okay, so obviously a very winning coach, great coach. John Wooden, he had asked that same exact question of his friend. John Wooden, Coach Wooden said, you know, I don't actually have regret because the way I see it, I make decisions with the information I have at hand at the time. I make my decisions based on the information I have at hand at the time. And that allowed him to be able to look back. Maybe things didn't go a certain way. A game didn't, you know, come out as he wanted. But it's like, this is what we live with. We live with what we have in front of us, and we make our decisions, and we don't look back. So principle number one, you know, it's really, because this is really the topic that I have for today, which is know the way, go the way, show the way. Right? This is going to be the basis for my message with all of you today. So as we think about that, as a company, I loved what David just said. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO and founder of a company like David, or if you are the CEO of your own business here, sitting here today, any of the leaders, any of you building an enterprise of your own, it doesn't matter. It is the same fundamental truth. The same fundamental truth. Now, you can ask yourself, many of you probably watched the Vision broadcast, at least I hope you did. And in the Vision broadcast, one of the things that I presented were what were our, not the 50 projects that we have this year, but what were really kind of our top 5 big rocks. Why did we share that with you? Why did we share with you all of those things? Because it leads into belief. It leads into belief. And so the principle number 2 is not only, knowing and understanding all the things that I talked about. So whether it's the .com, all the great things that are coming, all the projects that we're working on, what David's focus this year, of really being in prayer a lot for your business and thinking about yourself and obviously taking care, physical fitness. But it is about the belief that drives you, that core belief. And so what I share with you oftentimes when you hear me speak are things that I believe will build your belief. Events like this, whether you're sitting in a watch party right now around the world or you're watching on a replay, it doesn't matter, or here in the audience, the reality is that it's all about building belief. That's why you plug into the team. That's why you plug into events like this. Because when you can lead with your belief from your heart, this is what the powerful, powerful message of direct selling is, because you are B2B, belly to belly, person to person. And the belief has to come core. So when you're thinking about it, you think about LifeWave, you think about change, and I know there was a lot of change this last year, but the reality is that the core principles at LifeWave are exactly the same as they always have been, okay? You still have a long-term vision, a commitment to the channel that is unwavering. And it starts with David Schmidt, and it certainly spreads throughout the organization. The leadership and integrity of your people that are there for you every day, pouring their hearts and souls into the business. All of us at the corporate team, it is the same. High integrity. You can trust what you hear, okay? And then, of course, product innovation. You just heard David mention and said we're filling up the warehouses right now with X2O. It's just the beginning of rollouts around the world of the products that are going to revolutionize people's health and wellness. At least they have the opportunity to. The compensation piece of it is still rewarding the same behaviors as you have always done. Patching people, okay, sharing the products, being a product of the product. It is still rewarding enrolling brand partners, growing your business, and it also has a component to taking leadership development to the next level with your 1-star directors or above, and giving you rewards for that, which has incredible potential if you apply yourself, work hard, and are consistent in your business activities. And the user experience is evolving, but the user experience on the brand partner level is about your systems that work, your duplication systems that work. And no matter what team that you're joining us from around the world, again, globally, internationally, no matter what team you're representing, the system is the key, because why? Systems duplicate, peoples don't. Systems duplicate, and the peoples, they don't. Okay, so this is kind of the know the way. So again, you take into your mind and you put into your heart all the things that are happening, and then you take all of the things that encompass what builds your belief, and then the third principle of knowing the way, before we go the way and show the way, is being future focused. It is absolutely being future focused. Do I know where I'm going? How do I get there? What do I need to do? As David said, have a plan. Just like he alluded to, it doesn't matter if you're here to get your patches for free or if you're here to build a legacy. Have a plan for what you want and know how you're going to get there. Because you know the difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? You know the difference. All this knowledge is applying the knowledge that it becomes wisdom. Otherwise, it's just here. It's just here in your head. So when you think about a flashlight, how many of you were camping as a kid or camping today? Some of you campers out there? Okay. So do you remember ever waking up in the middle of the night with your cousins or everybody who was camping, and then somebody you gotta go to the loo, and whatever outhouse or whatever it represented at the campgrounds, and there was only usually one person that had the flashlight, right? It was always one person, and so I remember, I have so many great cousins, but my favorite cousin, give her the flashlight, and that child, I'm telling you, it's like, what's that? What's that? What's that? She's flicking it around in trees and bushes. I'm going, oh my gosh, leave it on the path. And then we're tripping on the stumps and people are falling into the bushes. It's like, will you just keep the light on where we're going, please? Please, come on, give me the flashlight. Just give it to me. You're terrible at execution, and I'm older. Give it to me. I'm the oldest cousin. So the reality is that is the same way when we think about light and we think about vision and we think about the future. If everything is distracting you, every raccoon, every owl, every whatever you're hearing, and it's like, oh, look over there. Oh, no, it's over there. No, it's over. It's like, keep the light forward facing on the path so you don't trip, stumble, and fall on your face. It's very simple. It's very simple. Because as leaders, even if it's a small team, a new team, if this is your first LifeWave event and you're just getting started, whoever you're working with, know where you are going. That is the third principle. So going the way. So we know the way, okay, so we take all this knowledge, we put it in our hearts, we tuck it away, we build our belief or we borrow it from somebody else, and then we make a plan, right? Okay, so, but going the way, the principle of it is the plan. If you're gonna start in motion, you have to know where you're going, or you cannot expect other people to follow you or be inspired by you. You have to take care of your business first. So, Geraldo said it, I come from direct selling. I had quit corporate to stay home to raise a family. And that decade that I was in your seat afforded my family many luxuries. And I owe a debt to direct selling that some of you have heard me say, I can't repay it. If I work my entire life, I cannot repay that precious decade that direct selling gave us a good life and what was most important, time. Time to be at every field trip. Time to be room mom, time to do all of those things for 10 years before I step back into corporate. And so I am very, very passionate about what we do. Here's what I've seen, because again, I don't expect you just to listen to me, even with my experience. Oh, Meredith, she's all knowing, all wise. No, that belongs to somebody else. That's all knowing and all wise. But what I get to do in my profession, the best part of my profession, is that I have the opportunity to listen to greatness. Greatness like you're going to hear today. Greatness like you hear when you join webinars, when you go to your team events, when you plug into the team. That kind of wisdom is priceless that I'm getting from people. Those pearls, right? So having been around the best of the best of the best of the best my entire career, it has given me clues. Success leaves clues, right? The one thing that I can tell you is the really, really successful leaders, the best of the best leaders, they run in sprints. They run in 90-day sprints as a rule. And so, because I understand the big, hairy, audacious goal. I get all that good stuff. Of course, read those books, all that. But the reality is those 90-day sprints have power. This is not an easy business to be successful. It is not easy, and change happens, and we have to adjust. It is not an easy business, but it is a simple business. It is simple to apply the fundamentals, and sometimes getting back to the basics is where I want to kind of start in your mindset today. Get back to the basics, be brilliant at the basics, and master the mundane. Again, it's not an easy business, but it can be simple. Principle number 2, identify the people on your team who want something. The movers and shakers, the people that really are going to not just tell you that they're going to do things, but actually take action. Who are they? You need to know your team, even if you're a team of 3. Even if you're a team of 3, find those people. Who has that dream? And then taproot. And I know you're going to hear about some great applications later today. When you think about taprooting and what does that mean, it's kind of like is that a direct selling term? I'm new to direct selling. I have no idea what you're talking about. Just think about the trees, right? Just think about the trees and think about those roots that hold a tree in place during storms. The more taproots you have, the stronger your team, which is why in compensation, we want to reward multiple lines or legs. If you're new to our industry, multiple lines or legs in your enroller tree because it gives you stability when the storms of life blow. And so this is why we talk about it, and we reward the behavior because the behavior is good for you. It's good for your business, it's good for your longevity, it's good for your legacy. So focus on those people, and you can talk to your leaders about the whole taprooting thing. How does that work? I want to have 5 strong lines, so you've got your 2, on the binary, obviously your sides on the binary, right and left. But over here in your enroller tree, this is where you can build up some very great opportunities for, again, great compensation, but stability and a long-term legacy build. That's what we're all about. Okay, so make your list, start thinking about it, start really getting into their head, and know your people. And the beauty of taprooting is that, and the way that our compensation plan works in the mentor match area, it's brilliant because you get to pass by people that might not be working and only have to use up the levels of the mentor match on people that are working, 1-star directors and above. Why do you want to blow out, these levels if they're not doing anything? This way we look, every time that we pay you, we look and we find those people, and those are the people that you want to help. Again, because you want to work with your teams. You want to work with your teams because you don't have to think about it. Oh, I'm going to help this person because then they're going to be a 1-star director and then I'm going to make money. I mean, nobody wants to think about it that way. You think about these people that have dreams of their own, get them to 1-star director for their sake. And it is that rising tide that raises all ships, the proverbial saying, right? This is the reality. Just think about it this way. Applying the coaching programs that your leaders are teaching you and that the people that you're going to hear from on stage today, some of the best in our entire space, think about yourself as a coach that you are mining for gold and that every person matters. Their dreams matter, their lives matter. And you are that kind of a coach. The principle number 3 in Go the Way is forging ahead. So I know we talk about Who Moved My Cheese. It's a great book. But it is talking about forging ahead by locating the cheese. So the little mice are in the maze, the cheese moves, the mice goes, oh, the cheese is not here anymore. They have to figure out the new path to find the cheese. The cheese is still there. Products are still working. Everything's still the same. Compensation is still paying up to 60%. The top that I'm aware of, I don't know anybody in direct selling that pays as much or more than we do. I don't know anybody. I don't. So you can find them and share them with me, but I geek out on comp plans at night. When some people are watching Netflix, I'm geeking out on comp plans. So because it's very interesting, because I always want to know, how are you rewarding the people that are working? How does it work? And so, but don't overthink it. Just like when David gets up and talks about science, or leaders like Dr. Stacy get up and talk about physiology, or fitness coaches get up and talk about, so you've got obviously Renita Brandon going to be talking about lots of things. You have all of these people that are experts. You don't have to be that way in compensation either. You don't have to be Andy and Mandy Hosier, which are comp plan wizards. You don't have to be yourself. Be authentic, be yourself. Use the resources that you have at hand, point to the tools, follow your leader, and share your life. Share your life. It is really that simple. Sometimes we just want to overcomplicate things because we think we have to understand everything and be able to spout it all out. And it's just not the case, because if you get too sophisticated, you won't be authentic, number 1. But number 2, you will be intimidating to other people, and they won't believe that they can do what you do and be successful. They won't believe it, because it's too much. So don't overthink it. Just let your light shine and take action. Do the work. The work is worth it. You are changing lives. You are helping others. Do the work. The work is worth it. Decide. Choose. And then the final which is show the way, know the way, go the way, show the way, as I wrap up here, unshakable belief. We're going back to it, okay? Because it is the foundation. Because we are not Coca-Cola, or Pepsi, putting all of our marketing materials on a billboard or in a compelling, cute ad with polar bears, which is adorable, by the way. The belief that you have comes from your heart, and people know you. And this isn't about sales. This is about sharing and caring. This is about telling your story. And it has to be authentic. It has to be. So, I have an example. So the company I was with, some people like to ask, I was with Princess House. Okay, Princess House's party plan. It is a durable good. You buy your dinner set of china and beautiful glassware. Once you own it, you don't need me again unless you break something or are going to a wedding. Which means you are on a hamster wheel of customer acquisition. A hamster wheel. It never ends. There is no auto ship. Okay, you don't have the benefit. You just move it. So I was on bed rest with Tyler. I had placenta previa, so I was down in bed. I had my growing team, and a cookware line came out. An expensive, beautiful line of cookware. And the sales of the cookware was high, and people that sold it were selling so much more than everybody else. And my team was telling me they couldn't sell it. I was in bed, I was on the phone. They kind of loved the access because I was a captive audience. But I was talking to them, and they were going, I can't, Meredith, it's not, no, I can't. And I was hearing all these objections about how they couldn't do it. And so it took me having the baby, getting off bed rest, getting back out there, and selling cookware at every show. And then pulling them together in my monthly team meeting and asking them how they were talking about it. And I said, let's role play. A couple of them stood up. The first one that stood up said these words. Well, we have this new line. It's so exciting. It does this, and this. Now, it's really expensive, but here's why it's worth it. Because you can use it. And I just went, well, there it is. It was expensive to her because she was a single mom. It was expensive to her. But for the people in the room, not necessarily. You don't know what their socioeconomic standing is, right? So think about that this way, but it took me getting out there, raising my show average by $200 a show, okay, to have people go, oh, so leaders need to show the way by doing it themselves. That unshakable belief that we build comes from that. And having that winning mindset, you're going to hear some amazing speakers coming up talking about mindset. All right, and it's Philippians, right? So it's Philippians. It talks about that which is beautiful, that which is excellent, that which is holy, everything. Think on these things. Why? Why? Because that's focus on the positives and block out all that noise that I talked about a moment ago. And then these are just a couple of tips that I put in here because they're things that I've seen. They're things that are personal for me. Okay, don't sweat the small stuff, and you know what? It's all small stuff. It's all small stuff. And then celebrate the little wins. I think the key to happiness for me is noticing little things and rejoicing and giving thanks for the tiniest little things that I see in my life. I think it's the secret to success, focusing on the big picture. We need to get that big picture focus. And then finally, just make sure that the only thing that is constant in our lives is change. And we know that. And the last principle that I'll wrap up on, I love Mary Kay Ash. I love all the leaders, all the books that I read. I read a book of the month, but forget about yourself completely. You need to back away from the situation and think about others and put them first, because others don't care how much you know until they know that you care. They have to know that about you. They have to know it. And then, of course, demonstrating for people that you know what to do. You are going the way they need to go if they want to be successful. And you will show them if they will come along with you. And you will be a servant leader. And you will lead your business with listening, with integrity and respect. You will do all of these things because that is your higher calling in this world, is to help others. You've heard David say it. The only thing that matters is helping others. So as I close out and we enter into an incredible day for all of you, as David said again, I echo it, please think about what you're hearing. Take just a nugget or two to apply to your business. But lead boldly. Lead boldly. Know the way, go the way, show the way, and be the light and share. Thank you so much.